I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
Maya Angelou once said, "I come as one, but I stand as 10,000." And this quote kept ringing in my head today because of the woman I'm about to have this conversation with. Hello, welcome to Women Power Politics. It's another installment right here on the Joy News channel with me, Sweety Aborchie. And my guest today is a stateswoman. I'll keep my introduction short so that in the course of the conversation, you can experience her for yourself. She is a was a two-time member of parliament for Evalue Ajumoro constituency and Minister of State at the Office of the Presidency during the former President Akufo-Addo's tenure. She served on many committees in parliament. She's worked with the World Bank. I could go on and on, but like I said, I want you to hear her story from the horse's own mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Catherine Afeku. Welcome.
Thank you,
I have been chasing you. I have chased you since last year.
Very true.
I'm actually pleased that we are finally doing this.
Yes, there's a time and season for everything, so this is your time.
Why is this the right time?
I think all things fall in place, and today is a good day. We are all relaxed, post-elections, there's no stress, so the timing is perfect.
I like that. So for the first 20-25 minutes, I'm going to focus on unraveling you. We want to get to know who Catherine Afeku is. And then in the last part of our interview, we get to hear your reflections on national issues and all the politics. So how have your upbringing shaped you into the woman you are today? I'm talking about your basic education, the mentors you had, even if it's a TV program you watched at some point that made the light bulb click that this is how you want to do life. Let us walk that journey with you. How did you come to be?
Wow, that's $1 million question. Thanks, Sweetie, and also greetings to your cherished viewers.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you need to know who are some of these personalities who parade your screens or are called public persons. My name is actually Catherine Abelema Kofi. My married name is Afeku. Oh. The way you mentioned it, I can tell you're from the region.
I am.
Yes, I'm Catherine Afeku because I'm married to a man from Hoklava.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
But Maraku, I do my best, you know. I have to impress my in-laws. Yeah. But I'm an Nzima. I was actually born, according to my parents, of course, I wouldn't be able to tell. Okay. I was born in Sifi Bibiani. This was part of Western region. But at age 1, they moved to our ancestral home, which is Axim. So I was brought up by my grandmother in Axim till age 4. So I have a very retentive memory because I remember my kindergarten friend. She's also called Catherine Last. And I'm sure she's somewhere. We grew up in Sekindi, Kwekuma. Okay. So my earliest recollection of me growing up was my kindergarten days at Kwekuma. I had primary 1 at Kwekuma in Sekindi. And then I do recall that at age 5, 6, I was moved back again to Axim. So I had primary 2 in Axim. Because my mom was a school teacher, and whenever she was either transferred or she had to move to a different town,
you had to move.
We were just shipped to grandmother. So I think that also reflects how I become so passionate about traveling, because all I do recollect is every time you are bundled up and you moved and then you come back. So class 1 is in a different town. Class 2 is in Axim, you come back for class 3. And I remember my class 4 was in Sekindi at Agri Memorial. My class 4 mate is still a friend to date, Sophia Godwin.
Okay.
Yeah,
for a second there, I thought you were going to say Sophia Kufu.
No, Sophia Godwell. And we're still friends today. So like that. And then you go back again to Axim for class 5.
Oh, so
it's
it was a little back and forth.
Yeah, it was just every year you are in a different class. And then I do recall class 6. I did not attend class 6. I had only the first term. I was ill with jaundice. So they looked at all my records. I was always first in class. So I remember the teacher's name. She was also from Volta region, Madame Philomena something. And they just said, okay, you know, you looked at her record. My mom was a teacher in the same school. So I stayed home and we jumped to Form 1. Again in secondary at Poissy Boundary Road School. And then in Form 1, I sat the common entrance. I was 11. Sat for common entrance. I passed. But my grandmother fell ill, so I couldn't go, and we were moved again to Axim.
Wow.
So I attended Roman Catholic Middle School, Form 2. And this is an interesting story. I never share these things because, you know, it was like, it's nothing. But I now recollect how come I'm so vociferous.
Tell me. That's the whole purpose of this conversation.
The entire Form 2, I never wore a uniform.
Why?
My mom was adamant. It's like, she passed the common entrance already. She's only here because her grandmother is sick, and she's just going through Form 2 to write the common entrance again. So there's no need for uniform, and that garnered a lot of enmity. I had my classmates who beat me up, ran
beat you up?
Yeah.
Like actually beat
like
you up?
Like you think you're 8? Yeah. I mean, they will just, you know, harass you.
Yeah.
So I was always running home, but I never wore uniform. Primary, middle school, Form 2.
Did that affect you in any way, the bullying?
No, it made me actually strong. It made me strong because I realized there was something good in me. My mom was so confident that I will pass it again. So at age 12, I sat the common entrance. There were only 3 people, 2 guys, 1 girl, Roman school, and I passed. Wow. And I went to Inside Secondary School. So it was the confidence that she instilled in me that you can do it. I mean, you've done it before, so you can do it. And she was also teaching at the school, but the primary level. Okay. So she would just come to the school. I remember people of blessed memory, the headmaster was Master Roland. And my mom, I do recall, because I was there, and she was like, oh, Catherine is not going to wear a uniform. She passed common entrance, so she's just going through, and she'll pass. I was like, oh, wow. So that's how I carried my childhood memory.
I have to ask. Often when you meet young women, they ask you, how did you become so confident? Yeah. But I'm hearing you say that
this is where
it's sort of natural for you. Did it come from your mom? Where did it come from?
I didn't even realize, but this is where it came from, because, you know, she was very sure of what she was saying and what she was doing. And I went through it, and of course I didn't disappoint her. I passed. Of all the group that went, only 3, and the only girl. So I passed. I went to the nearest secondary school inside, now Kwame Nkrumah Secondary School. Okay. And I went through Form 1 to 5. Of course, I was always, you know, leading. Mine was all about education, because that's what my mother instilled in me. Right. And I got through GCE O-level, but my dad was in Kenya. So on holidays, he would just ask for my visit so I could join him and the family on the other side. I did start 6th form. So I was in a classroom in Science Secondary School, lower 6. I think it was the 2nd term. And I was called out by the headmaster. I didn't know if something was wrong. I said, you have a telegram. You are to go to Kenya. Yeah, this was 1986. You are to go to Kenya. So I packed up, and I think that was the journey that began my adulthood. So I left Ghana, the shores of Ghana, in January 1986, and I went to Nairobi, Kenya to join my dad, who was with the UN and his family. So I had siblings on the other side, and that's how come, I guess, that's the earliest. I took off. I went straight to university. I didn't finish 6th form, but they had this TOEFL. So I went to an American university in Kenya, and also went through the same exuberant, you know, because my mom kept ringing that you can do it. All she kept saying was, you can do it, you can do it. And that's how I think I get this from. I never linked it to my political career. I was always her ringing in your ear.
But your father worked at the UN.
Yes,
that's
the FAO.
That's a huge exposure. Did that not do anything at all to
of course.
Accelerate the successes?
But remember, I was 16 when I joined him, so I had already had my formative years. So I tend to give a lot of credit to my mother, because she was there. My earliest recollection was her holding my hand to school. When I joined my dad, that's where the real formative years of growing
young
up,
adulthood, figuring out what you want to do with your life.
And I credit my father with the career path the whole growth process. Because I do recall, you know, Nairobi was, as I'm sure you know, was very advanced back then. Coming from Accra, you see, on weekends, he would just take us to a hotel, and he used to drink a lot of coffee. Like we're sitting, and he would just give you a piece of paper and a pen. So write what you want to become. I was like, nobody has ever asked me before. My first question, I answered secretary. That's what I wrote, because that's what I enjoyed seeing people. That's what I aspired to. The typing was cute to me, so I just wrote.
Let me guess, using the typewriter at that time, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when I saw people doing that in offices, it excited me. So I wrote that, and he would fold the paper and say, "No, we need to do this again.
You need to dream bigger.
You need to do this again." And I had taken French in school, so the next weekend we'll do the swimming with the little ones, and I write bilingual secretary.
What is it with secretary so much that you wanted to?
I had no idea. Okay. It just looked at something you could aspire to.
Yeah.
Because that's what I saw, women wearing uniforms, sitting behind a typewriter. So finally, my father himself said, "Nah, you are very outgoing, you're exuberant, you're enjoying school, you're enjoying clubs, you do ISEC, you do French club. I think you do well in hotel management." So it was my father who directed my path into the hospitality industry. Yes.
And you thrived in that industry.
It's amazing.
Before we get, I want to explore that a little bit.
It's amazing.
I know for a fact that we are products of our environment and our experiences. So nature versus nurture, you know. How would you reconcile these two elements coming into play and making you who you are today? I know you've already spoke about how your mother was a resilient, tough, confident woman, and how your father's exposure and him also propelling you to dream bigger all did that. Yeah. But if you look at the group of people you grew up with, the environment you grew up in, and how you were raised, taking into consideration all the things I've just mentioned, would you say that that has been the catalyst to your successes today?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, growing up, I still have my friends in Axim because of the constituency that I served. We were swimming a lot. We'll go to the beach. We'll just carry fish and sell it. And I had all that experience. I was more like a tomboy growing up. Most of my childhood friends were boys, you know, because I liked climbing trees, coconut trees, and reading, you know, going to the library. Even back then in the 80s, all the earliest memory were guys who will go to the library with me. There's a guy called Valentine Aka, my mate, and we'll be walking into the library, and all we did was read, you know, Adventures of Tintin, James Hadley Chase. I remember all the books we read, Nancy Drew. So I was part of I didn't see a lot of girls in my era, in that time, in my village, doing the library thing with me. But I was always with the gentlemen. You know, we're reading, doing our own spelling. We didn't even know about spelling bee. I mean, there was no electricity, by the way. So we're reading with lantern. And so, but it was a group of young guys, and I was in the group. I was always with the boys.
So you see, there it is. Because you were always in a group of boys, you never really saw yourself as a woman. By that I mean that the way society defines girls. You never saw that. So you never saw yourself through the eyes of society as a girl, feeble, weak, to be protected, cared for. And so does that mean you never dealt with gender issues, sexism, discrimination?
Till age 16, I don't recall, because I used to dance a lot. You know, I was always... You
have to show me some moves.
I love dance. I was even in dancing competitions from those early days. But it was always the guys, you know, because I think I would say I was protected by the boys I hanged with. I was always out there, but I'll come back home and my mom would say, read. The word was read. So in the evening, your lantern was on and you will study before I sleep. I go out, I hang with the guys, I dance, but when I get back, my mother will ask you to read. So I think she instilled in me this perseverance and persistent attitude of sticking to it. So I do appreciate that, and I have that nostalgia. Of course, she's passed.
You said until 16. Does it mean after 16 you did experience some sort of...
I think when I went to uni, at the school, at the university, you know, when you're young and you meet people, and I think it was also a mixed school with a lot of Caucasians. You know, in Kenya they had that mix, a lot of it, Indians and Kenyans. So that was my first experience in a school environment where it was all different cultures. So where people are trying to make you feel like you are less of that's when your Ghana spirit showed up.
Boisterousness.
It comes out. I'm telling you.
Did they hate you for it? I know some boys did. Me, I mean.
Really.
Because
really.
I wouldn't shut up if you told me just because you're a boy.
I never did.
Hated me for
I
that.
never did, but not really. They admired it. You know, it's
They
like
did.
more, yeah, friends from Sudan and Zambia, all these other countries. My childhood best friend on campus was named after Kwame Nkrumah. It's called Kwame Nathan Riondo from Uganda. And we will argue about Pan-Africanism and this, but I held my own. So I was never for a minute thinking, oh, I'm less of, or I'm a woman. And so, no, I didn't even do makeup, none of that stuff. I wasn't part of that culture until, you know, I started feeling like I have to look. But it was always with the young men, boys. So I think I get a lot of this vociferous from being treated as equal. You're just one of us. You're just one of us.
Does that help or not help for you to appreciate the challenges that young girls go through in this country? You had a different experience, but there are many young women who can't even live how they want to because society just puts you in that box. Do you see, let me rephrase, where would you say we are as women and girls in this country in our quest for parity, equality, or equity, whichever one we are looking for? And where would you say the gaps are right now from your own experience?
I think we have a long way to go. I think from the cultural experience and my upbringing, I think the societal impediment was a bit higher in this environment because I do recall that a young girl will come up and say, oh, I want to be a doctor, but my parents say no. And I find it like, why not? Because I have not experienced this diminishing attitude and it is not right. So this is what I would say it was actually what helped me go into the fight for women, because why was she not? Why can't she? That's all that I kept asking for. If I can do it, I have the same features as her, and some of them are even more smarter than you are. So why can't she? So when I got into this whole arena of serving in public office, I put 100 girls into school. That was before free SHS, that was before 3 year. It was a 4-year term during Kufuor's time, just like that. A girls' school in my village, Axim Girls, because I felt women can do it too. Why not? You know, so maybe the upbringing helped shape my attitude towards uplifting other girls. Maybe I didn't even connect it, but I just decided we have to say no to certain things, and it's just normal for me. So others should have the same attitude.
I like that. And I'm sure many of those watching right now
I didn't even realize.
excited just hearing you say that. So then you went into the hospitality industry.
Yes.
And I mean, of course, that also led into politics at some point. Let's travel that journey. Not heavy on the politics, more of career background.
More of the career.
Yeah.
I think when I finished university in Kenya, as I said, my dad, you know, he will have the weekend swimming sessions and tell you. So he sent me to a boarding school in Switzerland, a hotel management school called Les Roches. When I became minister, I took a team from my office to the school to visit. Yeah, so I went to a hotel management school. And the way the program is organized is you do 6 months in the school and 6 months attachment. So my first 6 months attachment, I came to do it at Novotel, now Accra City Hotel. Yes. So I was here in the, I think it was 88. I came home, and a friend that I met at the hotel is still friends to date, Diana Newton. So, you know, I tend to hold on to people. So that's a trait, loyalty. From my kindergarten, Catherine Last, to my class 4, Sophia Godwill, to my secondary school, a lot of the guys, one is at NIB right now, from here, we're still in touch. And then I get to Novotel, young, on attachment from school in Switzerland, and I meet Diana Newton, who helped me a lot. And to date, we're still friends. So I did that, but it was a 3-year program, and I didn't complete because love got in the way. Love got in the way.
Here we go.
So, and of course, my dad was upset. He's like, why? Before I left Ghana at age 16, I had met this handsome Voltairean guy, Mr. Afeku. And I was actually like getting ready to travel. So he was like, oh, I think I like you. When you grow up, I will marry you. I'm like, who says that?
Wait, hold on a second. You were 16.
16.
He shouldn't be saying that to you.
It's like, who says that? That's exactly, and it's, I tell him, we've told our children, and they're like, Ma, you should do a movie. That's what he said. That's the line. I'm like, who says that? He's not cool. I mean, you know, guys will have their shirt up.
How old was he at that
22.
time? No way.
Yes. Yes way. And here I am, skinny little Catherine. I've just finished, you know, my
international Catherine.
You know, I've been to Kenya before, so I was like the hit girl in town. I've sat on a plane before. And look at that Axim, there's no light, you know. So people said, oh, she's a bit hot, but I wasn't, you know. I was just happy that I'm different, okay? So this guy walks up to me. He went to Mauli. He didn't even live in the town, but the mother was there, so he had come home. And then they have this jamboree. They don't do it anymore. I think they do. So we're all there, and he walks straight. He's like, I like you. And I think when you grow up, I'll marry you. I'm like, so I had girlfriends. We are still close today. And we started laughing. I said, what kind of line is that? Who says that? Who says that? It must be the Mauli thing. So
does he know this? I mean, you're saying
he knows.
Right now.
He knows. We tell the children when he's there. Okay. So we just exchanged. Back then, there was no cell phone. You go to the post office, book to make a phone call. So it was just a box number when I got home to Kenya, and my stepmother was an African American. So I went straight and I said, you know, Auntie Aline, I met this guy. He said, when I grow up, I said, that's interesting. So let's stay in touch with him. That was my stepmother, Auntie Arlene, blessed memory. So we'll just be sending letters. All those letters are there, by the way. We just send letters. I'll send a letter, he'll respond. And luckily for me, 3 months, he was also taken to Italy by his elder brother. So I'm in Nairobi, he's in Italy. So we kept corresponding. So when I got to Switzerland, it's just a train trip to Italy. So one weekend, my roommate is Indonesian, you know, they pair you up. And we're taking a train, we're going to Italy. But I knew what I was doing. So I went with her, and I got to his apartment with another Ghanaian guy. I was like, I'm not going back.
How old were you at this point now?
22.
Okay.
So I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that school. It's so cold, and there are only 2 Africans, one Nigerian, one Catherine.
Oh boy, you went for love.
I'm not going back to that school. So
you went for love.
That is exactly what happened.
Okay. So I
I
mean,
left,
you should be,
and I moved to Italy with him.
And you know, you've been thick as thieves till now.
Yes.
Congratulations. I think you're one of the lucky ones.
I think I am.
I want to wrap up this segment with the core values that you've picked from being a well-traveled woman, from playing in various sectors. I mean, when we return from the break, we'll talk about the lessons from World Bank, your contributions to AFTA and all that. But what key values have you learned in all this, you know, trajectory, career and personal background that you've shared with us, that you say, 3, let's limit it to 3, that you would say are your key takeaways? In fact, if someone met you and said, share 3 life lessons with me from the stories you've told us, what are those 3?
I think it's perseverance.
Perseverance,
because I saw my mom go through it. You know, she raised myself and my brother. My father had left, and it was just the 2 of us. But she was very consistent with her vision. And the second one is loyalty. Loyalty for me is so key. Loyalty and justice. Justice. I always felt it coming along. I was always the one who will lead the crusade of why would you do that to her? Well, I didn't know the word justice, honest, growing up. But it was just like, it's not fair. Why would you do that to her just because? And I was always the one leading these, you will call it the rebel thing. But for me, it's loyalty, and it is the value of consistency, perseverance. You have to stick to whatever your heart desires, and God will see you through.
So loyalty, perseverance, and justice. Yes. 3 key lessons. And you're watching Women Power Politics on the Joy News channel with me, Sweety Aborchie. If you're already excited, cool down, because we just taxied. We're about to take off. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women.
Thank you for your patience. And let's continue the conversation with the Honorable Catherine Afeku, former Member of Parliament for Evalue Jomoro and former Minister of State at the Office of the Presidency under former President Akufo-Addo's era. And we're just hearing her story, the relatable human stories, you know, that makes her human in our eyes. Welcome back.
Thank you,
So,
Sweety.
is this a case of rich kid entering politics because you had access, or where did the politics start from?
That's a good question. I've actually not been privileged as people see it. My father just worked for the UN, and I was
just work for the UN?
Privileged to get the school, but I'm not a rich kid. My mom raised me. You know, my mom was a single parent because my dad had traveled, and I went through the normal kid of selling condo, acheke, walking around, selling yam, you know, in the early days.
Before or after you'd visited Kenya?
No, before. That was way before. Right. My first travel was age 14. Okay. So, but I have not had a silver spoon. It was until my dad came and plucked us out. That's where you would say the UN support. Okay. But before, the real formative years, it was very tough. But my mom never let it on. She was a school teacher and she would just borrow things. You need shoes, she would just borrow it and you go. I'll deal with it. You know, so I saw that, but she was always firm. Like, this is what we want and that's what we get. So I think I get that from her. But when I disappeared from school in Switzerland and joined Seth, that's where we had real life. You know, he was such a gentleman. He still is. And he said, no, we can't do this. We have to go back to Ghana. And I see your family and we do the marital thing. So in 1991, we came home, we got married, and then we had our first child in 92. So our son, Kevin, was born in Italy. And when I was in Italy, this is a movie. I'm always reading, thanks to my mom. So I'm on a bus reading. And a lady sits next to me, not knowing she's the mayor of the commune, the community, they call it commune, that we live. She works at the mayor's office, like a second in command. And she just touched me and said, I've never seen an African on a bus reading. And I didn't speak Italian at that time. So she made gestures like, so she wrote it down and she said I should come see her in her office. So I was like, well, you know, that was how I got my first job. I became a school teacher, an English teacher in a government primary school in Italy.
You don't say.
Yes, because I was reading. I was reading a book on a bus. And you know, most of the people working in the civil service back then, they just commute, they use buses. So Madame Piera, I remember her. What they did for me is short of a miracle. The government of Italy, the commune that we lived in, this is a town called Nuvolento. In the community, they brought a tutor, a private tutor, to our home. So for 6 weeks, I was taught Italian in the morning, afternoon, evening. And in the period after that, I will go to class 3 pupils to teach them English. So that's how come my Italian is so good, because I had it from a professional. It's free of charge. All because she saw me read and said, no, we can do something with this girl. We don't see, you know, African immigrants sitting on a bus reading.
You know what they say about luck is preparedness meets opportunity.
And that is my true story. So I started teaching my first job because I was not working. I had left school. My dad had like, oh, I don't want to see you again. You had a scholarship. You had to stay in École Les Roches and you've moved in. So I was on my own. I was cut off from, you know, whatever stipend. But I got a teaching job and it was paying $20 an hour in 1991.
What did you say again about not being rich?
$20. I was shocked because I'm a child, you know, I'm like young. 4 hours a day, I'll teach class 3 pupils. So let's say this is table, and I would say table like 3 times, and they would say tavolo. So I was even learning from the children. Window, and say finestra, finestra. I'll say window. So that's how they picked Italian. It was like an experiment. So they could be part of the EU. So these kids would learn English. So fast forward, my son is a year old. And then we got bad news. My mom died. My mom passed, so she didn't see any of my kids. And that was really, really difficult. So we had to fly back home with a 1-year-old. And then I had to leave the child with an auntie of mine. Because when we got back to Ghana, my husband said, I think we need to move to America. We've done Europe. So it was back after my mom's funeral that we left Ghana via Italy to the US. And we did about over a decade in Atlanta, Georgia.
I was hoping you connect to politics. Because
that's how the politics came in.
In US?
In US, I had 2 kids, and the last one was 1. But I was very active in church. There's a church in Atlanta called All Nations. So I was always the one doing the announcements for church activities. I was very involved in church. It was a Ghanaian church, Pastor Frank. So whenever Ghanaian dignitaries will come to Atlanta, the metropolitan area, they will ask for people to like do the MC, meet them. And I was also active in Ghanaian associations. So one day out of the blue, I get a phone call from the president of the Ghana Association in Atlanta that there's some ministers. Until then, I didn't even know the word minister in the US was a man of God, you know, because it's Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Agriculture. So it says some ministers have arrived at Martin Luther King Center, and we would want for you to go and do the hosting and meet them. And when I got there, that was the first time I met Mrs. Oboshi Kofi and Jake Utanka. So that was my foray into politics. So me, I'm, you know, living my life in Atlanta. I'm a US citizen. I have 3 kids. We're all happy with a husband. And then I did my thing, you know, like speaking, welcoming them, letting them do the Q&A, telling Ghanaians about Kufuor's government. So after this, I still have the picture, the first picture I took with Oboshi, Madam. After this whole episode, she called me to the side and said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Atlanta. You know, I had that attitude. I'm from Atlanta. She goes, no. Where are you from?
Fikenecho.
Fikenecho. Davi Maroko Fikenecho. So I was like, she wants to know me. So I said, oh, I'm from Western region. I said, where? So I'm from Nzima area.
That's where you're from.
That's where I'm from. It's okay. And she said, I think it would be good if you were to join us in Ghana. We're experimenting with spokespersons, and we would need a female, you know, we're doing spokespersons for government, the way cabinet is structured, infrastructure, economy, finance, and governance. And she's from the Ministry of Information. She thinks, she likes what she sees in me. And I was like, what, Ghana? I said, yeah. I've lived here. She had also been a diaspora. She was in the US for quite a bit. And then she was like, I've lived here, but you'll be more relevant. When you come home, you have leverage. It's like, okay, let me discuss with my family. I'm intrigued. And the short story of it is I went home, spoke to my darling, Mr. Afeku. My last one is a year old. We're just getting to do his birthday party. And I said, well, I met this beautiful, Mrs. Oboshi is so beautiful. This beautiful lady and this tall giant guy, you know, they are ministers. And she wants me to come and join them at the Ministry of Information. I was like, okay, my husband is my uncle. From the day he said, when you grow up, I'll marry you, he has extreme loyalty. He said, if that's what you want to do, myself and the kids will be here for a year and watch you. If it works out, we will join you.
So
very few men will do that.
Plugged you
from obscurity.
And you had the support of your husband.
My husband and my children.
And since then, you've become the stateswoman you are.
And I never look back. Tonight, after your program, I'm actually having a little dinner with her. I'll be going to her house. So I'm still loyalty. I still remember where I came from. I was just doing my thing in Atlanta, you know, just working. I worked for an IT company, Active Group, and I was doing a lot of business. I was director for sales.
I have to take you back, I'm sorry. At what point did the World Bank come in?
That was in Washington. Yeah, when I got to America, that had been almost 10 years. We lived first in Virginia, so I worked at the IFC. As a matter of fact, my direct boss at the IFC is the GIIF boss, Solomon Asamoah. Yes.
Okay.
He was in charge of the capital markets, and I worked directly under him.
Okay, so let's stay on politics a bit.
Yeah, so that's how I got into Ghana. That's how I became spokesperson on infrastructure. Remember, I was still a US citizen, so I was always like, I could go back anytime if it didn't work out. But I enjoyed it, you know. I didn't know much about the politics, to be honest. I did crash course. I would wake up at 3 a.m. I met the guy, the white guy who did Ghana Web, and a Ghanaian. One was in Holland, one was in Finland. And I will speak to them, so they'll give me the information. So you have to put in effort. You just don't up and become. You work at it. I'll get up at 3 a.m., read everything before you get on air. I was always, going the Peace FM with the Kwesi Prats, TV Africa, Metro. So back in 2005, 2006, I was a mainstay on national television, but I had to read. Remember, my mom gave me a legacy, reading. So you read, you get the newspapers. Our Wild was that graphic back then. So I was always getting the data, and I became so immersed in facts and figures of Kufuor's government.
Many women I've interviewed, and I always reference Jifa Gumashi because I heard it from her
Oh
first.
yeah, she's such a sweet sister.
She said that politics is a murky game.
Yeah.
In fact, she said it more than once.
Yeah.
And you've played in this circle for
20 years.
Decades. 2 decades.
Yes.
How murky is it?
It depends. There are yardsticks. It depends on how murky you want it to be. If you set your standards, if you set your values, and you create your own barriers, you have to give permission for people to make you feel bad. But it is murky. Like in every organization. My favorite book, by the way, is Prince Niccolo Machiavelli.
Okay.
The Prince. You have to read The Prince. There's backstabbing, there's backbiting, there is denigrating there, and it's everywhere. Even at church, it's there. But you just have to know how to set your boundaries, and you have to be one step ahead of the game. So it is murky, but you can be a victim or you can choose to be a hero. Okay. It's just how you handle it.
But then again, why the NPP? Why did you stick with the NPP throughout? This is a prelude to another question I'll ask you after you answer
But remember, I didn't know NPP NDC. It was Mrs. Oboshi Saikofi. Kufuor had just come in second term, and she brought me. So loyalty, again, she brought me into the fold. And that is how I started. October 2004, I landed in this country. And February 2005, I was already a pro. I
think Alan Chomante will disagree with you when you say you're a loyal woman. Because you were one of those who were rooting for him. Alan for president.
Yes.
Alan for president.
Yes.
And the moment he withdrew from the party, you cut ties with him.
You just answered the question. He withdrew from the party.
So your loyalty was
to the party. He's still a good friend, a nice gentleman. But again, like I said, you set your standards, and my values is loyalty. Remember, Mrs. Oboshi Saikofi is with the New Patriotic Party. Jake Obechibi-Lamte is with the New Patriotic Party. Nana Akufo-Addo, by the way, I met him also in Atlanta before, because he was a foreign affairs minister in the Ghanaian Association. We're meeting all the leaders who would come. So my loyalty is to the party. But I have no qualms. Mr. Chematin is a fine gentleman. When he was the ambassador in Washington, I was in Atlanta, and we invited him to the festivities that I organized. So I respect him, but my loyalty is to the New Patriotic Party. And he respects that. I told him about it, that look, I'm not for shifting to the person. I'm for the party. And when you are upfront with people you deal with, they tend to respect you. So that's my stance.
Okay,
and
no,
I
it makes
think
perfect sense.
That, yeah.
I mean, if he stuck with the party, he would have stuck with
bad
it.
Or worse, so good or bad, I am
loyalty.
New Patriotic Party.
I like how you say it. You are New Patriotic Party.
I am.
So let's talk about the New Patriotic Party.
New Patriotic Party.
The 2024 election was a face-in-palm moment for most of you.
Yes.
Because either you didn't see it coming or you didn't see the magnitude of the loss coming.
Yes.
We've seen all the reports coming in, but you were Minister of State at that point, and also a Member of Parliament.
No, I wasn't. 2024, I was out already.
You were out already?
Yes.
Oh.
But I came out of office, but I'm part of, I came out of office in 2020. Okay. Yeah, but I was still part of the government, and I will defend it with my heart.
What did you do wrong? I'm asking because you say you are the New Patriotic Party.
I am
loyal
part
to the
of
party,
the New Patriotic
which means
Party,
that you've taken some time to do your own assessment.
And to learn it.
What did you do wrong?
You have to take it with humility. Denial will not help. Like I said, my values are very straight. I'm just, I'm loyal, and I tend to stick to what I've started. And I'll be with it through thick and thin. We didn't see it coming. And in my own assessment, I'm from the Nzima area, and I've been through 08, 12, 16, 20 and 2024. So I've been through 5 election cycles, but 2024, the tsunami, we didn't see it coming. So we've taken it, my perspective, with humility. We've done the assessment and we're going through the amendments that is forthcoming, that we will go and see how we come back to the drawing board. But I think the first critical step, and I'll use your platform as a clarion call to the rank and file, to see unity as the only ticket out of salvation, that we should unite. Is that because
you don't see the unity playing
out
right now?
No, it's just a feeling of when you are defeated, you know, you get dejected and everybody starts to do the blame game and it's your fault, it's my fault. So the first step, I have 20 years in the game. I think I have that kind of small room to advise that in all humility, we need to first accept we are defeated. First you deny and then you accept and then you go back to the drawing board.
Of grief, huh?
Yes, and then you start putting your stuff together. So right now the key challenge is being united. So
given the chance, what will you do to unite the party? I'm asking on the back of what we saw happening during the thank you tour, even arguments pouring in on whether or not Bawumia should be the one to lead the thank you tour. Some people still within the party are just a case in point, talking about how some members of the party want to bring down Bawumia. So many things happening right now. Some people withdrew from the thank you tour. The NPP, from the perspective of many Ghanaians, look untidy right now. Not united. So given the chance,
the key word.
What will you do?
I would be on the clarion call to get people to unite. For me, as a mother, as a veteran, as a member of parliament former, a minister of state former, I think I have the latitude based on the experience to just advise, but with humility, that let's unite. You know, when you go through grief, defeat is grief. You have to get yourself together and you take courage to encourage others that look, it's okay, we've been through this before. Don't forget in '69 when Buzia left, we were in the wilderness for 30-something years. We came back together. So you have to remind the younger generation, the young people who are so devastated that look, we've been through this before. The NDC was not in office. They were home for 8 years and way before. So it's nothing new, but it will take time. You can't just brush it under the carpet. This is real. It's like grief. You've lost something and you have to allow people to grieve. And then when they have healed, you quickly come back together. And that is the stage we are. We need to come back together, close ranks, and diminish the blame game. For me, that is what I can say with all humility, that, you know, and especially us women, we console, we bring people together, and we use our experiences to get people on board. NPP is not like in tatters. It's a party at a crossroads, but we will bounce back. You can mark it, we will bounce back. We have to have that kind of faith and fervor that, yes, NDC is in power. They have goodwill now, but remember, it's a cycle. No party stays in power forever. So they have to keep this in mind, that we have to be very calm, very united, get back to the drawing board, do the competition, because competition is part and parcel of democracy. And whenever we are done with the competition, quickly close ranks and have a formidable, united front to go ahead.
Would you say many of your members have the same confidence that you have right now, that you will bounce back?
Oh, majority do, but if everybody had it, then there will be no space for some of us to be volunteering our thoughts and experience. That I think we need to rally around unity, oneness of purpose, and hope that this too shall pass. And you do it with motherly love and care, and allow people to grieve. You know, it's like being abused, and when you're trying to cry, you're just being shut down. No, I mean, we have to do it to a certain level. People grieve differently. I lost the election by 3 days. For the next day, I went to church. I'm like, you know what? you dust yourself. That's because I've been conditioned. I've read a lot of books that Abraham Lincoln, look at him. Our own President Akufo-Addo, 98, 2000, 208,
that was a long
2012, 2016, and he was still strong. So I see a lot of that perseverance in him. You look to him and say, he survived, he made it, he stuck to his dream, and he achieved it. So,
and now I'm just curious, what do you think the current Member of Parliament for Ajomoro has over you or had over you?
Well, the party itself in Nzima area is not as strong. You know, the Nzima area, the dynamics are different. It's like Volta region. So they vote on person. And he had already won the seat in 2020 because I was out of office. So it was easier for them to say, well, he's already in office, and people were already angry with the ruling government, and it's 8 years. The campaign, I would say, was effective because they went around the community saying every government stays for 8 years, so NPP is leaving. We don't want an opposition MP. So but he has not really performed. He hasn't done much. He's a younger brother, and the first 4 years. Is
that your objective assessment?
It's the fact. You can ask. He knows we have very good relation, but he hasn't done diddle ditch, nothing. But the campaign was, oh, I'm in opposition, that's why I couldn't do much. Well, so now we've given you a chance, you're in government. So let's see what he can also bring to the table. Talking
about opposition, how would you assess your party, your position, scrutiny of government actions in this 2025? It appears we've had a very dramatic season, first in Parliament, and then, you know, the entire dispensation of our democracy as a whole. You are playing a very active opposition role.
We have
How would you assess the work that you're doing right now?
I think we're doing a good job.
Actually, let me streamline this. Would you say you are being overly dramatic, or you're just holding the leaders' feet to account?
I don't think it's dramatic. You know, people tend to forget what NDC did.
What did they do?
When we were in office, I think the first 100 days, they even had to speak before the president. So we have the archives.
So is it a tit for tat?
That's politics. We're not doing church. It's politics. So
it comes with a game.
It is not a game. It comes with the territory.
The territory.
The territory. Because it is not a game. Even in America, they're doing the same. You see pro-Democrats stations bashing Trump, and you go to Fox and they're praising. So it is the same everywhere. But you know, Ghana, we tend to be a bit harsh. But NDC did worse. NDC had a statement even before President Akufo-Addo's first 100 days. We have been even magnanimous. We're trying to say, oh, okay, you know what?
I think you did the same thing. Even before the president gave his first State of the Nation, you had already
cautioned him. But that is the norm. That is the norm. Otherwise, we will not be in politics.
Truthful.
It's not an NGO. It's not a church. We are in the business of gaining the momentum, so you take power. And when you're going for power, you can't be, you know, squirming and being soft. You don't have to be rude, but you have to stay the course. We keep government on its toes. That's why we are called opposition. You have to oppose what is not good. I mean, in fairness, well, the city is stable. You say a few good things, but you have to be opening your eyes and ears and keep them on their toes.
Is that what you're doing right now?
That is the job
city is stable.
of the responsible opposition.
To
that's
reduce
soft.
Prices. That's soft.
That's soft. That's soft. Look, we need like 100 women in that space, reminding government that you did the same, okay? We're even being very magnanimous. And I'm telling you, Afeku is keeping Parliament and
he's a star of the show.
And NPP, the grassroots are talking thanks to the social media. But I mean, we are not, you know, like in abhorrence. We're just doing what is expected of an opposition party. And thankfully, Ghana, I mean, the space is clear. It's NPP, NDC. It's NPP, NDC. So we have to make sure we keep government on its toes, keep them accountable. But in all fairness, it can't be all negative. Like I said, when I was with you on your show, in fairness, I mean, the city is stable. But for how long? Okay? So you have to be, and I said it, my praise singing ended the day President Mahama was sworn in. So we have to open our ears and our eyes and keep a vigilant attitude. Oh, I won't be in a position to say that. I told you on your show. See, I told you.
For the benefits of my audience, they who've just heard you say that you have to be in opposition.
We have to be.
So how is he doing?
No, we are not being in opposition. We have to be a responsible opposition. To make sure we keep them on their toes. You know. I told you I'll keep it to myself for now, you know, because we've been in government before. And in fairness, I had said 90 days or 100 days is not a yardstick. Let's hear the mid-year budget. Let's see, because I've been there before, so I know, but we are keeping them on their toes and our eyes are watching. The mid-year budget, we hear what they have been able to achieve, because it's a bit, it's a bit quiet now. There's a lull. So we want to see action. We want to see activities in the system, like job creation and some of these old debt that has been accrued or earned. He has to also do some of the payments to contractors. But
let me squeeze two things in quickly before our time runs out. I met you
already.
You're enjoying yourself. I met you at the Save the Judiciary demonstration, and you were waxing lyrical, very passionate about how the Chief Justice is a woman, so she should not be touched. And I even asked a question about tokenism, and he said, no, this is meritocracy because she deserves to be in that position. In fact, as at the time we are recording this interview, it will air next week or so, but as at the time we are recording, today begins the hearing for the Chief Justice's petitions that have been brought against it. At this point in time, how's the situation sitting with you? I
think I'll just give you the law, the maxim of audi alteram partem. Let's give her the benefit of her hearing. So we hear the two sides, and then we'll be in a position to judge, because right now they've started the hearing. So comments and opinions will not really matter. Audi alteram partem. She has to speak, she has to give her case, and then the panel or committee will also give this. And then at the end of it, public opinion will also come in. So I would
next century. This is my final question to you. I hope I don't remember anything else. In the next century, when the name Catherine Afeku comes up, what do you want to be the legacy of Catherine Afeku? That
I made an impact in a girl's life, a girl. At least a girl became a politician, because it's not a dirty job. It is to serve humankind, that at least a girl, and maybe we may not be around, he said a century, that will have a female president in the Republic of Ghana.
We have a vice president right now.
Yes, number 2 is a good step, but a female president. So in the next century, I would have loved to have a legacy that Catherine Afeku made an impact in a girl's life, and she shot up to the #1 position.
You have inspired me. Thank you.
Oh, sweetie, it's been a pleasure.
Actually, let's do this. Please look into your camera and give our young audience, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be young, the women especially, 3 tidbits that you think will help them accelerate their progress in whatever area they are right now. That's the camera.
Well, thank you. I think for me, and from my experience, believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, no matter what you're doing, no matter the vocation, believe in yourself. And be loyal. Be loyal to your cause, be loyal to your friends, be loyal to even your enemies, be loyal. Because you never know who will come in time of need. And try to be fair and be just. Because when you are cheated, when you are hurt, it's because somebody tried to take advantage of you. So believe in yourself, stick to your vocation with that faith, and at all costs, have loyalty, because it pays to be loyal. When you betray people, it's worse. So be loyal to your friends, and it will pay off. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Afeku. I'm going to put applause under this.
I congratulate you and commend you on your bold initiative to improve the lives of the women